Hello, my friend. I am Charlie Simons, your host here on Do Not Talk. Talk about two things you're never supposed to talk about: religion and politics. And if you follow my page on Facebook, my Do Not Talk page is Charlie Simons Presents Do Not Talk. And you become a member of that group. It's one of those kind of things. Doesn't cost you anything, just become a member. If you're already on there, you're familiar with my guest today. Min Nguyen is his name. And he posts on there a lot. I get a lot of great stuff from him. I really appreciate him. First time I met him, it was at a fundraiser for Jim Shoemaker, who's running for Senate, and Shoemaker for Senate.com. That's the number 4, Shoemaker for Senate.com. And that's where I met Min. And he is cousins with a friend of mine down in Southern California. And he is he's in NorCal and incredibly up on what's going on. He is a legal refugee from Vietnam. Came over here when he was a kid, when we bailed on Vietnam, and left them in a very bad way. As we went in there, I believe, with good intentions to try and protect these people from a communist takeover. That was the whole goal that we went in there. Coulda, shoulda, won it. Media got involved. Protests started happening. Politicians freaked out. They started pulling back and trying to find a way to extricate us out of that quagmire that we could have and should have won for the people of Vietnam. And because we bailed now, we got North and we got South, just like Korea. And I'll let him tell. Hopefully we'll be able to find out what that was like for the people of Vietnam when they were running literally for their lives. I have great empathy for those people and what they went through, trying to have some semblance of freedom. They didn't want the government taking care of them from cradle to grave. They didn't want the evils of communism, and they already knew, and they already saw signs. They saw what it was like as they were having their own civil war, basically, in Vietnam, and we got in the middle of it. What is communism all about? It is about replacing God, period. It's satanic. Dr. Paul Kengor was on with Jordan Peterson, who I'm a big fan of Jordan's. Didn't know Dr. Paul Kengor until Min, who's going to be on the show in just a second, sent me this video, this interview with Jordan Peterson that I wanted to share with you. It's about 11 minutes long, but worth it. Chances are you haven't seen this. Jordan Peterson, as you know, like me and many of us on the right, have been deplatformed, deregulated, and shadow banned, and shut down, and deleted. So you probably never saw this. I'm going to share it with you now on Do Not Talk.
We don't know why he turned to atheism. These poems that he wrote that were pans to Mephistopheles, is that after he becomes an atheist?
No, he's writing, so the first one was 1837, wrote another in 1841. He wrote a bunch of them.
Right.
He did just a chilling play called Ulanem.
Yeah.
Who they're discussing right now is Karl Marx, who basically, him and Lenin are the fathers of this satanic form of government called communism. Karl Marx is who they're talking about. I should have told you that.
Yes.
Ulanem. And people that are watching this, if they now type into their computer Ulanem, even in Google, it'll pop up, play by Karl Marx.
Yeah.
It even has a Wikipedia entry. And let me warn people, you might not want to do this, but if you click the images button, you will see, there's some satanic stuff up there from like, not heavy metal, but like black metal groups. So Ulanem is an anagram for Emmanuel, or Emmanuello.
Right.
So
right.
Marx takes Emmanuel, which is the name given to Christ, or Manuelo, and he flips it into this anagram called Ulanem. And it's this chilling play. The main character is Lucindo,
Yeah.
Lucindo, and you just can't believe what you're reading with this play.
Mhm.
So that was written later in the 1840s. So really, the prime of his writing, including the decade when he wrote the Communist Manifesto, is also the same decade when he was writing these poems.
And plays.
And plays,
Yeah,
and plays. And throughout his life, his kids and others would say, he had a favorite line always from Mephistopheles.
Right,
Everything that exists
right.
deserves to perish. So that remains a part of him throughout his life. His son, Edgar, has a letter where he addresses his father as "my dear devil," which, I don't know, maybe it's playful. I don't know.
Yeah.
Although I would never, call my dad "my dear devil."
Mhm.
His wife called him "my wicked knave." I quote Henrik Heinzen, referring to him as a goblin
Right.
who tried to take me under his spell. Other cases of where he's using that kind of language. When Engels first met him, he describes him as this dark man from Trier, who hops and leaps and springs on his heels. The monster of 10,000 devils, he describes him. And the letter from his father is, which was written in 1837, a year before his father died. So his father writes to him, March 2nd, 1837. Carl, at times my heart delights in thinking of you and your fortune, and yet at times I cannot rid myself of ideas which arouse in me sad forebodings and fear when I am struck, as if by lightning, by the thought, is your heart in accord with your head, your talents? Has it room for the earthly but gentler sentiments which in this vale of sorrow, it's a beautiful letter in many ways, are essentially consoling for a man of feeling? And then this question from the father of Karl Marx to his at this point, 18-year-old son. And since that heart, Carl, is obviously animated and governed by a demon, not granted to all men, is that demon heavenly or Faustian? Will you ever, and that is not the least painful doubt of my heart, will you ever be capable of truly human domestic happiness? And this doubt has no less tortured me since I have come to love a certain person like my own child, will you ever be capable of imparting happiness to those immediately around you? By the way, the answer was no, right?
Well,
but that
obviously
phrase,
the father had intimations of that.
Yeah, and since that heart is obviously animated and governed by a demon not granted to all men, is that demon heavenly or Faustian?
Right,
That's his dad.
Yeah.
And there's only so many of those things, I think, that a sympathetic Marxist or Marxist biographer can shrug off. I mean, there's just so many statements like that from him and people about him and people who knew him and loved ones and a wife, a son, a best friend from Engels, and then the different writings. Whew.
Okay, so let's attack this.
Now, was he a Satanist, right?
Well,
that is a whole different thing that I can't personally answer.
Well, it seems not unreasonable to presuppose that he was a devotee of the Mephistophelian ethos.
Yeah, I think that's
right. So
really
the question is, what constitutes a Satanist? Well, someone who generates a murderous doctrine, that raises questions. I mean, dead serious about that. Like
right.
The most murderous doctrine ever promoted in the roughly Judeo-Christian context by a large margin. So I would say it's incumbent on those who would defend him to describe why we wouldn't just assume that. But the part of the reason that I was so interested in talking to you was because I felt that what you documented in your book was extraordinarily telling from the psychological perspective, because I know how these things work. And it is not something that can be overlooked, that was his favorite quote.
Right.
I mean, especially not when you understand Goethe's centrality in the German intellectual tradition. That's like having a favorite quote from Shakespeare, right? And it's not any old quote. It's the central credo of Mephistopheles. So that's extraordinarily telling. Now, okay, now I do have another.
Can I give you a...
Yes.
So Robert Payne, the very serious academic, no right-winger, British man of letters, the guy who really broke this first in his 1968 biography of Marx, all right? His chapter where he talks about this stuff is called The Demons in his Marx biography. Now, he wrote this, and I'm not saying that I endorse this. As an academic, I can't say if this is correct. There were times when Marx seemed to be possessed by demons. That's what Payne wrote. And now this I would at least more endorse. Marx had the devil's view of the world and the devil's malignity. Sometimes he seemed to know that he was accomplishing works of evil. I think that gets closer to it. Now, Pastor Richard Wurmbrand, who wrote the famous book Tortured for Christ, and was tortured for Christ in Romanian prisons by communist captors who were shouting, "I am the devil," while they were torturing him. He did a book called Marx and Satan. He's convinced that Marx was a Satanist and did some things ritualistically that it might have even been satanic. But I can't say that. I can't endorse that.
But you see evidence of that in his play.
I've never seen...
In terms of at least his fantasies.
That's right. That's right. In fact, Payne even goes so far as to say, Vladimir Lenin, right? There's a statement from Lenin which said, when I was a teen, I broke from all religion. I took the cross from my neck and I threw it in the rubbish bin. And Payne has a quote where, not Payne, Richard Wurmbrand, where I think he believes that Lenin even stomped on it. He says, well, that's a satanic ritual. I don't know. I don't know that it is or not. But there's another case of Lenin who at least did the work of the devil. I mean, Lenin had, according to Robert Conquest, W.H. Chamberlain, the first historian of the Russian Revolution, 500,000 people were killed from 1917 to 1923 under Lenin, not even including the Russian Civil War. If that's not the devil's work, I don't know what the hell is, right? But I think what Payne said in the latter quote, the devil's view of the world, the devil's malignity, and at the very least, this identification with kind of devilish-like destruction, right? Tearing everything down, rebelling against the world, everything that exists deserves to perish. That at least, and then the ideology that he created that just happened to be responsible for the deaths of over 100 million people in the 20th century, you know, more than World War I and World War II combined. So that ideology was pretty hellacious.
Yeah, to say the least. Okay, so, and I think it's very naive not to assume that the events that we described in Marx's life are not connected, right?
Yeah,
right.
Correct.
And that his economic polemics were somehow independent of his poetic imagination. It's like, obviously they weren't, because they wouldn't have had that motivational force. So they were calling on dark forces, obviously. So, because otherwise they wouldn't have compelled people in that manner, especially not toward that sort of immense sadistic murderousness and utter destructiveness.
And of course, get to the hatred of God, which all the communists did. So all the communists thereafter seek to ban religion.
Right. Atheists.
That's
like,
right.
They're not exactly atheists because they're trying to stomp something out.
That's right. It's not
a neutrality.
That's right. It's not a neutrality toward religion. It's not irreligion. It's not separation of church and state. It is militant, aggressive atheism. Trotsky and Lenin create the League of the Militant Godless.
Right.
They ban religion. They have the Moscow church trials. They blow up churches. They jail priests, right? The Solzhenitsyn writes in the Gulag Archipelago, they put nuns in special sections of the Gulag with prostitutes.
Yes, right.
Deem them whores to Christ.
Absolutely.
Lenin said, all worship of a divinity is a necrophilia. There is nothing more abominable than religion.
Yeah.
So they don't just try to stop religion. They want Pol Pot, the Buddhist monks in Cambodia, to renounce their vows, to marry. It's not enough for them to be quiet. And so after 4 years... I don't
know how you can separate a militantly anti-religious atheism from, especially, say, within a Christian context, from something approximating satanic ideology, because I don't see how conceptually that separation is possible. It's one thing to be atheist in the manner that leaves people to go to hell in a handbasket in their own way, but to be actually an enemy of the religious enterprise, that's a whole different thing.
It is.
So, And that obviously Marx and the communists were obviously that, clearly, obviously.
And Satan might say, I don't care if you believe in me or not. You're doing my work, man. You're shutting down churches, blowing up churches.
That also touches on the issue of what it means to believe, right? And I mean, you could imagine someone comparatively harmless who toys with ritualistic satanic activities in a sort of dramatic manner. Mm-hmm. And then you could imagine someone who tortures nuns and priests and burns down churches, but forgoes any technical affiliation with Satan.
Right.
I would say that the latter is the Satanist in a much deeper sense than the former.
That's
Not
right.
that what the former is doing is excusable.
Yeah, or at least satanic.
Yes, right. But to do what the communists did to the religious enterprise is evidence of something far more militant than a mere atheism.
Yep, here he comes. Riding his trusted steed through the Sierra foothills as he brings you the news. Oh yeah! Oh yeah! He calls himself
Charlie.
What you doing, Charlie?
Sorry, Charlie.
Hi, Charlie. There you are. Look how cute you are. Yeah.
Hey, Charlie. What's with the dark glasses?
And now, here he is, a man of God, living in a world of Disney.
Ow, Charlie!
Charlie Simons.
Charlie bit me.
If you want to help this show stay on the air, you want to help us succeed, you want to see this keep going, you can help us at venmo.com/do not talk. That's venmo.com/do not talk. If you can help out monthly, that'd be great. Just a one-time gift, whatever you can do. Pray about it, think about it, ponder it, see if it's worth it. And then if you can, give at venmo.com/do not talk. All right, men, win. Come on in. Let's get to talking about your life and what's going on and your escape from communism in Vietnam. How are you, my friend?
Hi, Charlie. How you doing, sir?
I'm borderline amazing. So how old were you when you left the country, when you left Vietnam?
Just around probably about 4 or 5 years old. I'm one of those rare people in the world that don't suffer from a common disease called childhood amnesia.
You remember it all then?
Yeah, I remember it all. Most people don't, like my kids, they don't remember anything past, like, I think, 3rd grade. I remember everything since I was 2.
Wow. I admire your was it both your parents together escaping Vietnam?
Yes, they were. We had a friend of the family who had a boat, and they invited my dad, and then my dad invited my other family members. So we all pitched in and got a boat. My dad and the primary family were on the top deck of the boat because we could afford the most, and the rest of the family on my father's side was in the bottom half of the boat, and we all brought our own food, our own supplies, our own water. Three overall families, all on one boat.
And what happened? Walk us through that, because I want people to try and imagine what that must have been like.
Well, when we were very hush about trying to leave the country.
Of course, because what was happening to people who were trying to escape, and they found out about it. What was happening?
And we were having what was happening, that people were trying to get away. Most people were kind of clueless about it, and I didn't have a plan. My family were ahead of the game, because my father was a pedicab taxi driver, and he was taxing soldiers from the base all the time. And they were telling him, "Yeah, we're leaving. We're not coming back." And so he kept the inside scoop that the military is leaving. They're gonna give up. They're gonna. So he told family and pulled their money together and got a boat. Um, and on the way out, we were struck by pirates. Just and first, it was first when we got into the Mekong Delta, we were we were boarded by pirates. It was a PT boat. I know it's a military type, and the guys were wearing like green fatigues. I don't know if they were ARVN or issue or just pirates with stolen uniform, but they were wielding
What's
M16s.
ARVN for people who don't know what's ARVN?
The RVN is the Southern Vietnam military army. They're the one they were the one that, under the I think the Paris Accord that were being supplied by it's kind of like Ukraine. The U.S. was supplying all military aid and arms to our military plus troops. So Americans have their forces. The Southern Vietnam have their forces. They even have their special ops. They were. And so yeah, we have our own army. As a matter of fact, if you look at our military, we were winning. We were with a lot of battles. I mean, our special operations did not take any prisoners. Yeah, they just killed them all. If you look at the death total of that war, I believe there were 10 million Viet Cong who died and 10,000 U.S. troops. So we were kicking butt. But the USSR was back in the Soviets, and the Democrats here stateside were in league with the Soviets. So, and especially on the college campuses.
Oh yeah, I'm old enough, even though I was very young as a kid. I remember my dad watching the news reports on it, and the media, of course, was painting it as just this terrible thing. Look at our soldiers are going in, decimating whole villages. They're killing children.
Yep, and the media there was sending images of like atrocities because the first war ever on television, and the general public were just not ready for that.
And what was the reality with these children that supposedly we were taking out? What was the reality? What were those children doing that would provocate, that would promote us or prompt us rather to take them out like that?
I can't say personally because where I lived, I wasn't that close to those villages. I was in like Saigon, so I was in the outskirts. So I didn't see much of that village life.
You knew what was going on. I mean, they were
I was aware, but
strapping
not. But
explosives to
I mean,
kids.
I do recall. I do recall one time when I was a child. I don't know how, but I woke up from being unconscious, and I was like, um, somehow with uh, burn scars all over. My lips are sealed from scarring. I don't know what, but it passed. But it was weird. But getting back to our leaving the pirates, we were in the Mekong Delta. They boarded us. There was one guy in charge. He was sitting on one of those folding lawn chairs and an umbrella and with glasses and a drink and a Hawaiian shirt. And he was telling everybody on our boat to give us your money, give us your gold, and we didn't have anything. So and they boarded the boat and looked around. They couldn't find anything worth of any value. So they took the two girls that were on the boat. There was we had the other family on the top deck. They didn't find out about my family downstairs. They only found about my brothers and sisters, my mom and dad, and the other family. And the other family had older girls, and they took those two girls away. They just took them. And I don't know what happened. We don't know what happened to them.
About how old were they?
Let's see, one was about, I'd say around, I think 10. The other one's like 13, 14.
Good Lord. The atrocities against their own family members and neighbors are just unspeakable. The way they fought war, they were so dirty and underhanded and sneaky, and and not against our troops, not just exclusively against our troops that were there, but against your people, your friends. They were these are people who were just just the week before were considered your neighbors. You're all countrymen. You're all Vietnamese, and now you've got people who they've sold their soul to the devil to become
Well, you
communists,
got
and they're hell bent making sure everybody else is going to be communists, or they're going to kill you.
yeah. For the whole time during the Viet Cong uprising, rebellion, they targeted Catholics specifically because they considered us collaborators. I mean, remember before the Vietnam War, it was the French Vietnam War, and they were fighting the French and any Vietnamese Catholics. They were targeted specifically because we're the ones that we were learning, the new Vietnamese language, and the emperor who was how can I say it, done like the Romans, taken to France and raised there and brought back and brought as a puppet. Yeah, that's just about when the Viet Cong that says screw this, we're taking our country back, and there is an old Vietnamese written language. It's very much like Chinese, but only like the very few people left who know how to read it. And it's only in like I think Hanoi by the imperial dynasty that pretty much know how to read and write in Vietnamese in the old pictographic language.
I don't know who your dad knew that he was able to get this boat, or how he was able to get it, but
Yeah,
that's
that part
extraordinary.
I don't remember it.
That's a better way to travel than trying to actually cut through the jungle, which so many others were trying to do. They were just running.
And
They were running for their
well,
lives. They knew the U.S. was pulling
the
out.
ones who went through the jungle after '75, they fled to Cambodia, and when they got to Cambodia, the Khmer Rouge killed them and ate their kidneys.
Khmer Rouge was
Not the kidneys,
horrible.
their liver. They ate their livers. It's a one of those. It's a cannibalism thing, but it's goes back to the Hindu faiths about stealing their power.
So, which direction were you heading? Were you trying to get to Cambodia, or where were you going?
We go straight into the ocean,
And then
and then hopefully get picked up by U.S. Warship.
that's all.
We were out.
That was the plan. I sure hope
That was
we
the
get
plan.
found by a U.S. warship.
Yep.
When these pirates boarded you, they obviously took all your food and whatever money that they could find,
Well,
and the girl.
they took a little bit of stuff. I don't remember exactly what they took, but it wasn't much. But they took the girls.
It's not like you can stop by a Circle K and buy yourself some more food somewhere. So
No.
you were left in a very bad way,
Yeah.
and fuel. How did he get fuel for the boat?
Well,
It was probably
we had enough fuel. We had enough fuel for a one-way trip and enough food for a one-way trip. But we were there for like I don't know about a week or 2 weeks. We ran out of food. We ran out of food. We ran out of water. We ran out of and the boat started sinking. So whatever, even if the gold and treasure and photographs and families and documents that we did have, we had to toss it over the boat because we just to get the boat above water. We were bailing water all the time with from the bottom deck. I believe. I mean, I mean, every family had their own, separate rations, and but at a certain point we were running pretty low. The other family on the top deck, I don't know. I seen it happen. My parents tried to cover it, but there was a grandmother on the boat on their side of the family, and they don't talk about it. Nobody wants to talk about it. So I'm not naming any names, but she says, "I live long enough. We're in dire straits. So just kill me, eat me, and let the family survive."
We know nothing of such horrors here in the United States of America. We're so blessed, but yet we have so many people. Sometimes I feel like we're in the minority who are fighting against this. We have so many people who despise the United States of America as we know it, despise the founding of this nation as it is. We have people who want to bring it down. We have people who want to destroy it. And how do they not know? How do they not know about how horrible communism is? How do they not know that it's going to affect them as well?
Yeah, I don't know either.
We're all going to pay for their stupidity.
I mean, the Viet Cong. I mean, they were communists, but they were also Buddhist. I mean, there's only two major faiths, two major faiths in Vietnam. It's Buddhism and Catholicism, and a few traces of Tao and Cham and Tao, but mostly Buddhist and Catholicism. And I mean, during the war, like many of the old temples of the Cham Empire were destroyed. I mean, beautiful Cham temples. I don't know who know you're the Cham were, but they were like another nation in our country that the Vietnam conquered.
You've got to be looking at what's going on now here in the U.S. and just be stunned at how quickly we are marching right towards that, aren't we?
Lockstep and arm. I mean, this is something that was started by the Soviets in 1928 with their cultural, trying to start a cultural revolution with cultural Marxism with the black population, because apparently the old Marxism, the old economic model of Marxism of the proletariat and the bourgeoisie didn't work, because America had a huge middle class, and the poor and the rich swap places every single day. It's not an aristocracy. You lose money, you go broke. When you earn money, you turn rich, and on those names and faces change all the time. It wasn't until like 1920 with the development of the fourth state with Woodrow Wilson that it grew out of control, and now the fourth state runs everything. We're supposed to be a three-ring circus. It's a four-ring circus now, and the fourth ring is static. They're not elected. They're there forever.
You're talking about the deep state, as President Trump calls them, and
the deep state is the fourth state. It's the fourth ring.
Unelected Democrats, unelected. They're appointed, getting government jobs with nice, fat, swollen paychecks and unsustainable retirement plans for themselves.
And inside track to billions of the tax dollars wherever project they approve.
Anywhere that they can do a government takeover of any kind of entity, now with medical, with Obamacare. That's obviously what that was. I spotted it from the very beginning.
Yep, that's part of the Communist doctrine. Control income. Karl Marx invented the whole idea and concept of income tax. And before him, until 1920, there was no income tax anywhere in the world. Woodrow Wilson brought it to us in 1920 when Roosevelt split the vote for the Republicans and put Woodrow Wilson in the power. Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Sorry, but my dog is trying to get out.
That's all right. I got my dog right here.
Okay. Yeah, the mailman's right over there, and he's talking to the man.
The dog's breaking out. I got you.
Okay, sorry about that.
That's all right, man. Last time I saw you was at another fundraiser, in fact, for Jim Shoemaker, who you and I are both fans of. And
yes,
I love talking to you. I love talking politics with you because you're so tuned in with everything that's going on, and you're so passionate because you've lived under communism. You've fled. You've seen lives lost and great drama and trauma because of communism.
Yeah, I mean, but
And now
I draw
you see
I
it
draw a lot
happening
of
here.
ire. I draw a lot of ire from my family because my brother and sister they were young. They don't know communism when they see it. I try to explain it to them when they think I don't know what I'm talking about. But they're here. They're here. They're all over the place. They're satanic. They're evil. And all. I mean, if you trace back Karl Marx, right? He didn't start it all by himself. It began even further back with Darwin. Remember, Charles Darwin, when he wrote the book Evolution, that was his atheist interpretation of creation. And it's half baked. It's not even accurate because because if that was to take place, you know, there are preconception notions and presumptions about evolution, and you know you know the four principles. You know, do I need to explain it to you, or should I go over it just a little bit?
Go for it. Bring it on. Anybody doesn't know.
Okay, now the difference in evolution and creation is that life comes from something or nothing. In creation, God is the source of life. However, in creation, the assumption is life spawns from nothing. Now,
That's an evolution. Yeah.
scientifically that cannot be proven or can be recreated. There is no proof or evidence or any kind of possibility where life spawns from nothing, right? So the second principle is that just because there is cellular life doesn't equate to multicellular life. The assumption is that automatically, for no reason whatsoever, single cellular life would just automatically become multicellular life. So or dual cellular life. And there's no evidence, example, or anything of that sort. But the assumption is it happened. Take it as faith. That's a second, feat of faith for evolution. The third evolution is that men evolved from apes. If that was the case, evolutionally, why did Cro-Magnons coexisted with other apes and monkeys? And at the same token, why are there still monkeys?
Why are there still monkeys? Exactly. I
If they
guess
all
those were
evolved,
the
why
dumber
are there still
ones. They
monkeys?
weren't able to evolve. Yeah, they were
Yeah.
just not quite smart enough.
Yeah, and then at the same time, with evolution, new genes, new DNA can spawn on its own, which scientifically is every gene and the DNA on Earth already exists. There are no new genes. So
It's all
bec-
based on replacing God.
yeah, it's
It's
all
all
based on
based
replacing
on
God.
first getting you
Now,
to question that there's a great creator. It's
now
all
after
based
the voyage,
on replacing God with the government.
right? Now after the Voyage of the Beagle was published, right? Charles Darwin was on the Beagle with his brother. I forget his name. I forget Charles Darwin's brother's name, but Charles Darwin's brother worked with Karl Marx to create the Communist Manifesto.
To create the what?
The Communist Manifesto.
Oh, the communist man.
Yes,
You know what I
he
thought
was
you
a
said?
co-author. Yeah, he was a
You know what I
co-author.
thought you said? You know
No,
what I
no,
thought you
sorry,
said?
no,
The congressman of Mexico is what I thought you said.
no, sorry. The
What the
Communist
heck is
Manifesto.
that?
Now,
Communist Manifesto. Yes.
yeah, and now with the Communist Manifesto, and Charles
Well, he helped
Darwin.
to write the
Um,
Congressman of Mexico, and that's just the beginning of it, and then it goes on from there. And there's a whole lot of stupid ass people who like to fancy themselves as being highly educated and smarter than the
no,
rest of us, who just know
no,
better, and we just don't understand. So we need to be either shut up, shut down, or removed completely.
no, no.
And
Remember,
communism,
the whole work of the Satan is to not worship him, is to reject God and all His creation.
exactly. Yeah, he doesn't care how he does it as long as we're
He
not
doesn't care how he
giving
does
God.
it. Now, at post the Communist Manifesto, post evolution came the thing called social evolution, eugenics. Uh, so that was the third. That was their trinity: evolution, communism, and eugenics. And now remember,
Eugenics,
eugenics. Yes.
communism is supposed to be for the people, for the masses, but yet they're trying to eradicate anybody who thinks for themselves. Anytime
No,
Mao did it in China,
the,
anytime any
the,
communist dictator comes in, the first thing they do is they take out the professors, they take out
the
the very
professors, the
intelligent
teachers, the
doctors,
doctors,
musicians, musicians.
the clergy, and most of all, the nuclear family. You got to
Yeah,
separate the kids from the parents. You got to take their kids
right.
away.
That's what they
They
do.
want to kill.
And then
And
they're getting
that's
indoctrinated because they know if you can flip an entire generation of young people,
and keep them
you're going to
stupid
flip that entire form of
generationally. Yeah,
government.
you
Yeah,
got to. Yeah, exactly. Now,
all of them.
no, remember, eugenics was a post thought of the what is it, the
Planned
cultural
Parenthood.
Marxism, the cultural Marxism
Oh,
of the what is that school, the Frankfurt School. Remember the Frankfurt School?
I don't know. No.
Uh, okay, the Frankfurt School was the German. Um, at, there were academics in early Germany around the early turn of the century, 1900 to 1910, who expanded upon the Communist Manifesto to 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 ch- to improve the communist dialectic to 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 not just be economic, but could be any uh, source of conflict, be it sex, race, gender, religion, uh,
Divide and conquer.
ethnicity. Divide and conquer. All divide and conquer. Now, it was. I mean, the original Communist Manifesto was a divide and conquer of the rich and the poor. But now, if you look at today's from what was taught by Antonio Grassi, Antonio Grassi, the Italian guy, the one who taught Mussolini everything about being fascist by taking the Roman uh, era of at the Fasci, and then tendency and being fascist. So it was Italians and non-Italians. That's what fascism was. It was a racist Italian. It was, instead of being German, maybe Germans for the Germans. It was Italians for the Italians.
The teachers who have infiltrated public education,
Yeah.
when I was a kid, this is how far back it goes. They were already teaching that Nazism was far right. And it didn't
No.
take me long the more I learned, because I became a student of World War II time and the history in the U.S. especially, when we stepped up and we were a very virtuous nation. We stepped in and helped in ways that many did not want to see happen, because we stopped
Christian.
the
It
march
was a.
and the onslaught of so much
It
communism.
was a.
Um,
It was Christian virtues that we were talking about. It was Christian virtuous nation. Remember, the morality and the ethics of Christian is what created America.
Yeah.
It was
No, great
Christian.
point.
It was,
So
you know,
I'm
yeah,
learning as a kid that Nazism and Nazi Germany, that was far right. That's way far right. That's on the right.
that's
And basically trying to equate republicanism with Nazism. The
it's kind of
Nazi
funny
itself,
that
NAZI, is an acronym. It's the National Socialist Party. It is a socialist form of government. So when I got
naturally
older and I started really studying, I'm like going, why
it's
is
in that.
Nazism any different than communism? Because they're all acting and reacting and ruling the same way. That's because there is no difference. It's not on the far right. That was a freaking lie. So they've
The lie.
equated this. Go ahead.
Here's the lie. They think that what's left and right is because of some kind of conservative liberal, right? But left and right is what is conservative? Small government and liberal is a large government. Is there ever an instance where there's any racial regime, social or otherwise, that runs on a small government? Now,
What do you mean?
you know what I mean? I mean, for instance, for a socialist government, you got to have a large government. You can't run a socialist country based on race or sex or any kind of authoritarian government. You cannot run an authoritarian government with a small government. Now, the extreme of liberal and conservative. The far right is not conservative. The far right is anarchy, because anarchy is no government. You understand my gist now? So from
Yeah.
right to left is anarchy,
Ah, yes. Okay, I get you. Got it. Yeah.
conservatism, liberalism, and then socialism, and then communism. And the more left you go, the bigger the government. The more the right you go, the smaller the government or no
Smaller.
government. There is
Like
no
libertarian.
there's no libertarian chaos. Now, there is no conservative on this planet who thinks we cannot survive without a government. Even the founding fathers knows it was a necessary evil. However, we don't believe in a large government because once a large government grows, it supersedes the individual.
And it's like a cancer. It just
It
keeps
becomes a
getting
cancer.
bigger and bigger.
And that's where the deep state comes in. That's what Democrats are. Now, you ever notice the answer for everything the Democrats and the communists do is the government's the answer. But at the same time, we conservatives know there is nothing the government has ever done that they've ever fixed. They've never fixed anything. And if anything, you create a social service, and it never goes away. Like the war on poverty, the war on drugs, it never goes away. They never fix it, and they never manage it well. They never spend because remember when the government spends whose money, their money or our money?
Ours.
That's right. So when Milton Friedman,
They don't have ours, they just spend more.
Huh?
Milton Friedman. Huh? Go ahead.
Yep. Yeah. So when Milton Friedman says there's the best way to spend money is by the person who makes the money, because when you spend your money, you earn it. Because when you earn it, you spend it, and when you spend it, you care about two things: cost and value, how much it costs and what you get for it. But when say like you give your money to when you buy for somebody else, you don't care about value. So when you buy for your kids or for your dad, you worry about cost primarily. And so long as it fits the bill, you don't care about the value. As long as you don't for instance, you're going to give your son a car. When you buy your son a car for the first time, you don't give him Mercedes, right? Because you care about cost and value. They don't need that. They don't need a Mercedes. They need a Honda. But when you buy a car for yourself, right? You want something with the most value and where you can afford it and for the best package. Am I right?
Yeah.
However, the third category is when you're buying for somebody else or with somebody else's money. That's the government. They don't care about cost. They don't care about value because they don't cost them nothing, and they don't care what they get for the money.
And they don't care if it keeps running.
And if they run out of money, they just take more money.
Right. Right. Um, you were saying something at that dinner where I saw you the other day, and I said, "Man, I got to get you on the show." That really encouraged me because I'll be real honest. After broadcasting, I actually went live with the Democrat National Convention
Uh-huh.
in Chicago, and I'm listening to lie after blatant lie.
Oh yeah,
And I'm watching.
the ABC debate was completely rigged.
Oh, and the ABC debate was an embarrassment.
It's it,
And,
it,
and,
it
and you know what was more embarrassing to me though were the conservative talk show hosts. A couple come to mind: Eric Erickson and
they're
what's
not
that guy?
conservatives. They're not conservatives. They're neocons.
They're not. They are because they were nitpicking President Trump and about how he took the bait. No, he did
I,
this. And he
I
did
mean,
that.
think about it. What does it mean when the Democrats and the Republicans who are neocons are supporting Harris? You got Dick
Can't
Cheney and the whole Cheney family, the guy that Democrats called the war criminal. He was the reason why we're in the war. And they're like, hey, yeah, we're in agreement. They're on the same page.
Well, I've been in the media my entire life, and I know how it works, and I know how coercive it can be, uh, and, uh, and I'm watching their coverage of all this, and I realize that not only is more than half of my fellow Americans still watching mainstream news, but even my own fellow conservatives aren't really turning to alternative media like this and so
So
on. They're still getting their news from Fox, which is
I
giving
don't.
you only about
I don't
20%
know.
of the truth.
Fox,
They're
Fox,
still
the
getting
entire.
everything from that, thinking they're getting the other
It's
way.
it's kind of funny about Fox. Fox, aside from like three people on Fox that I don't know that are worth watching, Gutfeld, Bartiromo, and Waters.
Yeah,
Everybody
Jesse
else is
and Laura
controlled.
Ingraham. I like Laura Ingraham.
Yeah, lower income is controlled opposition.
Seems to be.
They are controlled opposition. I mean,
Seems,
you know, it's for like decades. Every time Fox had a chance to bury the Democrats, they don't bury them.
never forget, my friend, if you're still watching Fox and you still think you can trust them, never
No.
forget the night in 2020 when before the polls were even closed in
Oh yeah,
Arizona.
they called the winner, and the moment at that very
Never
moment,
forget that.
all the TV stations repeated the same talking point. And I'm thinking, see, people say it's the CIA behind it all. I can't prove it.
Sean Hannity wears a CIA pin on his jacket. He's proud about it. He's proud of it. He's bragged about it.
Hannity is a fraud.
I'm afraid he is.
He's a complete fraud. I mean, if you go to any Trump, any reasonable MAGA candidate speaks no kind words about Hannity.
But yet my own fellow conservatives are still watching him and believing him.
Well, that's because some people are, I'm gonna say they're holding out for people who they've been trusting for a while.
Yeah. But you were throwing some stats at me that I hadn't heard.
Oh,
And
what's
I
that?
don't believe polling. I haven't believed polling in a long time, as I keep trying to explain to people. Here's how they take these sample polls.
Yeah.
They stand in front of a college campus because they know that those kids are going to be more willing to talk to them than you and me coming out of the mall or
Yeah,
wherever.
what they're doing is that they when they go to the poll when they're in the polling, they stack the deck. And the same. Now you gotta remember when we read the polls, you gotta read this byline. Is it registered voters, likely voters, or just anyone they can get a hold of? Now, for me, just because somebody's a likely voter or a likely voter doesn't mean they're going to vote. So whatever they say doesn't guarantee it's going to turn out in the ballot, right? So a lot of the polls that you get from, like, a lot of them, they're all usually likely voters. And at the same time, when they poll, they don't tell you the number of people that are on one side or one side or the other. Now, you could tell you. Now, I can tell you right now, for the last 50, usually they always stack the deck with Democrat posters.
Yeah.
Okay. And
You're all on board.
now it's kind of now there's two pollers that I really like because they're genius. One is Trafalgar, and the other is Rasmussen.
And
No,
Trafalgar is not even from the U.S. I mean, that's UK, right?
I don't know where they are, but let me get you why.
Wikipedia. You want to
Yeah,
actually get the real story of what's going on in the United States of America? Unfortunately, you have to go to other countries to get it.
yeah,
Like Sky News in Australia is doing far more honest
yeah.
reporting than anyone here in the U.S.
yeah. But Sky News UK is crap.
You think so?
Oh, they're just like Fox.
Okay. Well, it's Murdoch, so.
Yeah,
There you go.
it's all Murdoch, but apparently the one in Australia, the Sky News in Australia is pretty good. But still, I
That's
I
one
I
I'm
rather
watching.
I rather watch alternative media.
Yeah.
Now,
Well, me too.
now the reason why I like Trafalgar is that whenever they poll somebody, right, they don't ask their opinion. They ask their opinion of what do you know somebody or your neighbor who no they ask about, can you tell us about your neighbor, because the person is more honest about somebody else than themselves.
hmm
So when they ask them questions about what the poll, do you think your neighbor, is he a conservative or he's a conservative, and so they ask them the questions of what they think the neighbor would answer.
Oh, interesting. I'll be darned. I didn't know that. But you have seen some results that is refuting everything that we're seeing on the mainstream and
Yeah,
the NBC
uh,
Nightly News results.
the Rasmussen poll. Two things. One, Rasmussen poll compares their polls against the other polls and gives you the byline of what's going on. At the same time, when Rasmussen polls, they only poll likely voters, meaning people who fully intend to vote.
And
So that means whatever they poll, they're more accurate in their polling when it comes to ballot turnout than, say, someone who's likely to vote, who's like, I might vote, I might not vote, because they may not turn out because
we'll get to it, buddy. I'm looking for some encouraging news. I want a light at the end of the tunnel. What did they say and what are they reporting?
No. What's important is that what Rasmussen reporting was comparing their polls against everybody else. Is that all the polls that were saying Harris was ahead is from last month.
Even before the before the convention?
Before the convention, before the moment that Harris was announced, they did polling, and they repeated that poll for the next month and a half.
And people were just reacting to a new shiny thing.
Yes.
And these are the people who just hate Trump at all costs. They
Yes.
don't care how effective his policies were.
They were
for
just
4
happy.
years.
They were just now that polling at that time. They were just happy that Biden has gone. They got somebody else. So they're in the honeymoon phase, and from that point forward down, the polling went down.
You can't blame them there. You can't really blame them.
So
I'm glad that they finally woke up to the disastrous choice they made back in 2020.
And the reason why they held on the last month's poll is because all the new polls was worse than the original poll. So they just didn't report it. They were polling, they were getting numbers. It was bad, so they didn't report it.
Interesting.
So they kept repeating the same number from last month, or 2 months ago. Sorry.
So interesting. So
Yeah.
what does Rasmussen show? What kind of numbers?
Rasmussen was showing, like, I think before it was like, when she first came out, she was like a +3, and then it just trickled down week by week down to a -7.
Now, for anyone who doesn't know what that means, -7 +3, what else that?
That means For instance, if Trump is polling 48%, a plus one would mean Harris is polling at 49%.
Okay, I gotcha. Okay.
So if right now if Trump is polling at 47%, a -7 would be about 40% or 39.
Now, where is Rasmussen getting their results from? They're not standing in front of a college campus and getting
No,
this.
oh no, they every time they do a poll, they try to get at least 2,000 people, and it's all the people they've contacted before. I mean, they have like more than 2,000 people that they call. They keep calling them back, and until they get any the number of answers back, then they analyze the data, and they have a list of people that they call that are considered likely voters, and the ones they can reach, they get an answer for, and when they get enough answers up to like maybe 2,000, they report.
Interesting. So this is not man on the street kind of stuff. This is how they used to do ratings in radio and television.
Exactly.
Well, television had
Yeah,
Nielsen families. They called them Nielsen families.
and
But in
Rasmussen,
radio, you had to actually fill out a form of when you listened, how long you listened, what day, so
yeah,
on and
like
so
Nielsen.
forth.
Yeah, it's very similar to Nielsen. Now, at the same time,
I'm
Rasmussen
saying that, okay.
is self-funded. That
It
means
is. That's right. They get paid to be a reporting family.
yep.
Right.
Everybody, it's kind of like a subscription, even though what they publish is open to everybody. So they're completely nonprofit. They get no money from it, no NGOs, no government organizations, no political parties. It's all individually funded, like Prager.
Interesting. And it's showing. You were talking about landslide kind of numbers.
Yes. Apparently, they were polling like I think 60. For instance, we're like Trump is smashing it for like Latinos, Christians, Catholics, black males, whites, working class, over 65%.
Wow, this is awesome news and encouraging. However, there's a long time from November 5th until he's sworn in, and the 1st of January, beginning of January. That's a long time. There's all kinds of shenanigans that I believe.
We got like 52 days. And that's kind of, what's odd today? it's kind of funny. Okay, so I think like 2 months ago, this CISA announced that this is going to be. Oh yeah, they don't expect any kind of cyber attack at all on election day, where it's going to be a safer. Now that I know whatever they say, the opposite is true.
Yeah, exactly. I've been saying that Kamala is not going to be their girl. I don't think that she's going to be their golden girl. I think they're going to do yet one more switch up, and that's going to be a late September, early October surprise.
They can't do that. I mean, because the ballots are already printed. They're already starting to go out in the 2 states already.
I know. So that's what I was going to say. That's what I was thinking. She's not the one. They didn't get the bump with the DNC. They haven't gotten the bump that they were hoping for. She's a disaster. Tim Walz is even worse. And so they're going to pull the plug and they're going to put in someone else. But now I'm changing that. Obviously, it's too late.
Yeah.
She's going all the way.
What if falls back down now too is their plan B. If she didn't win, or Trump wins. If Trump wins one way or another, okay, they're going to do the opposite, which is riot, cyber attack, martial law, question. The whole rigged election. They're gonna blame it on conservatives now.
Yeah, and they're also going to say that we're racist because we wouldn't vote for, and sexist because we wouldn't vote for a black woman president. I'm guaranteeing you that's coming. It's because we're a racist nation still, and we're just not ready for. Well, wait a minute, we already had a black, half black president. So I'm sorry, you were saying? Well, it's because she's a woman. Allegedly, and she's not even really black. She's Indian and Jamaican. But all that aside, the whole freaking thing is such a lie.
It's all a lie.
Disastrous, ridiculous, and they did it to themselves. I'll never forget in 2020 they had that disastrous lineup of clowns that they were trying to say could be. Booty Judge?
Buttigieg.
Pete
Yeah.
Judge, Mayor Pete?
Oh, he's
What
an
made him
idiot.
qualified to be president? He'd only been a mayor and a very bad one at that.
A very
And they
bad
had a
one.
whole lineup of horrible candidates up there.
And,
They
and,
were
and,
grasping at
and,
anything
and
and
as far as
everything.
and he's in charge of the Department of Transportation. I'm
Yeah,
sorry. Has transportation been really good lately?
no.
We got planes falling out of the sky. We got we got bridges collapsing over rivers. We
No
got
kidding.
ships
got
knocking
ships
over
running into bridges,
knocking over
blasting them.
bridges. We got trains spilling fluids and all kinds of chemicals into the river.
Yep. Yep. So the point is, they desperately needed someone to try and represent more the middle. Biden had already failed in his presidential runs for like three times, I think, at that point. So he's going to go in a fourth, and this is their big savior. They had to cheat in tremendous proportions to be able to make that work, because here we were coming off the most successful economy in the United States history, all done by one man who was being attacked, impeached twice, tried to take him down in so many different ways, and still got this amazing economy turned around and booming after Obama for 8 freaking years
What was
dragged
it
his
now?
feet and did shovel-ready jobs and put us in an even worse position than where we started. And that all was done by one man, because he's a businessman, not a politician, which I've always been saying we need.
34 convictions, 2 assassination attempts, 91 allegations, and they totally wiped out his real estate. He's not doing his real estate business. He's not doing real estate anymore, and they think he's the bad guy.
Isn't that something? And he didn't take a, don't forget, he did not take a salary for his entire 4
No,
year
he never
term.
took a salary. He donated every single penny.
Yep.
Yep.
Uh,
Just funny. I was on Facebook the other day, and somebody saying that he's an idiot, and I'm like, okay, well, I mean, he's poor. See, he started with 3.1 billion before he was president, ended his presidency with 1.3 billion, and so and then this created Truth Social, and now he has 50 billion. So the guy knows how to survive.
Yeah, absolutely. I pray, if we humble ourselves and we turn from our wicked ways, God's people I'm talking to exclusively right now. You're a fellow believer and a follower of Christ Jesus. Humble yourself before God. Ask Him for forgiveness for your sins against Him, not for the nation so much, for your sins against Him. Get right with Him. If we humble ourselves and confess our sins to Him and turn from our wicked ways, which has been replacing Him in so many different subtle ways, worshiping television, worshiping this, worshiping that, taking time away from actually reading His Word or talking to Him in prayer. That is making something else or someone else your God. Taylor
Yeah.
Swift.
That's the first
Uh,
commandment. It's
yeah.
the very first commandment.
There shall be no other gods.
Yep.
So if we do that, He will heal our land. But there's so many of my own fellow believers, our own fellow believers, because I know you're a follower of Christ Jesus now too.
Yep.
I know that we don't even vote. In California, especially, a third of us claim to be Christian. Only 40% are registered to vote. What
Mhm.
the what? And we don't. And when it comes to primary elections and midterms, it's in the teens.
If Christians vote their faith, if they vote their faith, they won't be voting Democrat ever. Because it's only one party serially always trying to abolish religion.
Yeah.
And that's the Democrat Party.
Yeah.
Anything Christians believe, they reject, and that's their platform.
Even
So-
something as stupid as a flu virus, where Governor Hairdo said, "Oh, you can't go to church." And then after he got so much pushback, he goes, "Well, you can go to church now, but you can't sing."
I mean,
Don't ever forget that.
we have in the First Amendment, we have the right to gather. And the right to gather is, but be it political or religious, we have a right to gather. He took it away.
Man, I want to thank you. I love talking to you, and especially politics and religion, the two things I always talk about that you're never supposed to talk about.
Oh,
I love talking those over with you. Thank you for sharing a little bit about your story about what it was like when you were just such a young child trying to escape communism,
oh,
you were running for your lives. Are
oh.
your parents still around? Are they still?
Yeah,
What, what,
my father is gone, but my mother is still around. My brother and I share custody with her for a dependent. We take turns taking care of her every 2 months. I added a room to my house where she stays. She has her own
that's good.
bathroom. She has her own bedroom. My
That's
brother has a space for him at his place. So every 2 months we swap places. Now my sister, um, she's trying to get her stuff together by getting, she got a couple of kids who aren't empty nest yet, so she doesn't have a room ready for them. But so as soon as her son uh, um, leaves the nest, then she'll have a room over there, and there will be every 4 months we take a turn. So
Thank you
that'd be
for
nice.
joining us, and also sharing with us your knowledge about the upcoming election. God willing, President Trump will be president again.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're screwed.
Oh no, this is definitely an election where everybody is voting in. Will be voting in socialism. And once you vote in socialism, there's no voting out.
And it is communism. Is
And
communism right? It's just a precursor to, because
yeah.
once the government starts getting that kind of power, it's a cancer.
Actually, it's a three-step process. It's democracy, which is tyranny of the majority.
Which we are not.
Then becomes socialism,
Yeah,
and then becomes communism.
right.
And that's why they want democracy so bad in a republic.
That is what. Yeah, exactly. They keep saying that. Oh, it's the death. He's going to kill democracy. Trump is
Good,
going to kill democracy.
good,
Exactly. That's what I say too.
good.
That's
We
the
don't want a
way I
democracy.
go.
We're a republic. I mean, it's the United States. We're a republic.
Yeah, exactly.
Each state is its own country. We just happen to get along.
Exactly. Uh, thank you, Min.
You're
Min,
welcome, sir.
I don't know if you have any kind of business that you want to promote or anything, but now would be the time to do it.
Go- right now, we really trying to get my priority right now is trying to get Jim Schumacher in District 5 for the Senate office, and Denise for assembly in the area, and there's a guy south of that district. His name is Duarte. He's a complete rhino, being backed by this woman called Corinne Rankin. She's the
Rankin.
GOP vice chair of the Republicans here in the Central Valley, and she was appointed there by none other than our former Speaker of the House,
Kevin McCarthy.
McCarthy. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's a rhino, he's a rhino, and right now she's trying to be GOP chair. So we cannot let her take over, because right now the entire California GOP is a bunch of rhinos. When Trump comes to California, he can't have a rally, because both the Democrats, the local county, and the GOP are fucking with him. So what they're doing is that anytime he comes together, it's like a private. It's only a private fundraiser. That's about it. So yeah, so most of the people we're getting up there, or whatever
This
they
is
they,
why
they,
my fellow
they approve of.
Californians, if you're not, I implore you, if you are not, please get registered to vote. It's not too late.
Yes.
Register to vote.ca.gov. Register to vote.ca.gov. And register as a Republican. Even if you're thinking, oh, I'm so mad at the Republican Party and so on and so forth. If you don't register as a Republican, you can't vote for President Trump. You can't vote in the primary elections. You can't vote in the midterms as a Republican. And we need you desperately. Register to vote.ca.gov.
Yes, that's Schumacher for Senate.com, and Schumacher is the only Republican in all of California that's been supported by the Republican Party and the Liberal Party.
I know, isn't that amazing? Yeah, Jim Shoemaker's fantastic. And I pray that he wins. We need him and more people like him.
Yeah, more people
And
like
more people like you, man.
Thank you,
Men
sir.
win. Thank you, my friend.
Oh yeah, and if any Republicans who have any kind of voting power, try to get in Mike Morrell for chair, for GOP chair.
I'm a delegate, actually. So, yes, definitely. I'm in his corner. I'll be voting for him. All right, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Talk to you soon. Yes, you bet. And you want to help this show continue, you can do that through Venmo, venmo.com/do not talk. It's real simple to do. If you don't have Venmo, it's real easy. It's like any of the other ones, Cash App, PayPal, Zelle is another one. There's just so many now. I happen to be on Venmo. So if you can help, please. Venmo.com/do not talk. May God bless you and keep you. May God bless America. But most importantly,